All right, I think we'll go ahead and get things started here. First off, everybody who's joined, appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day um, to check us out. And without further ado, let me go ahead and open things up. So before we jump in, my name is Shay Graham. I've actually been doing sales and customer service related services for the last 12 years. The company that we're promoting today is RFP Plus, but it is built off of an existing system from a company called Polera Software, which has been around for over 10 years, and I've been with for 6 years going on now. So just a little bit about the company. Again, the parent company being Polera Software, founded in 2008, one of the industry leaders in property management software, one of the few left that's a private, independently funded software company as well. Now, the example that I'll be using today to show you guys the RFP system is kind of a generic company, but it is customizable to any industry. And obviously, for the sake of this demo, for just kind of a generic company. So just wanted to make sure that everybody's aware of that before we jump in. Also, I'll be leaving a good 5-10 minutes at the end for any questions that anyone has, make sure that we answer. And if we don't get to your question, we'll make sure to reach out to you afterwards as well. All right, with that said, I'll hop over and show you guys the platform. So as I mentioned, right now we're just using kind of a generic RFP company, but if this was for the community association industry, we could structure this so that it just shows your community names in your drop-down menu. If you're familiar with Polera, the system is built off of the same ticketing system that we use for all the other tickets that we offer in Polera. So that's kind of the backbone of it, but it, again, can be customized based on the industry that it's being used for. So when you first log in, you have a dashboard. The idea with the dashboard being just a place to quickly see any RFPs that have been opened or assigned to you, quickly add them from here. The cross-portfolio functionality that we have existing, we applied to this as well. So it can be used to look at just your current company or community, but also expanded to see your entire portfolio if you need to. Now, initially, when you first start out, you would want to start by adding your vendors. It's possible that if you're using us for Polera, that you already have vendors in your database, which is great. But the place to do that would be up here in your settings drop-down menu under vendor management, which will bring up your vendor module. Now, we do have the ability to import vendors, and that's something that you can inquire with us about if you have a need. But the manual way of doing it would be to just go in here, add a vendor, and then you can add in their information, contact details, insurance expiration reminders, and then you can set the categories for those said vendors. Now, the categories will play into the creation of the RFP, and I'll make sure that I show you that when we go through the actual part for creating it. Now, after you have your vendors, you'll likely want to add in any additional users, admins. So we refer to them as administrators for property management or association management. They would just be called managers. And then stakeholders is the other user type. So we understand that there might be those who need to be kept up to date and have visibility into various projects that are being worked on by administrators or managers. So we created an additional role for stakeholder or board member in the association industry would be the other type that could be notified of a said project. Adding those users is super easy. You would just come into the users area, and then there's an add user button here. So you can quickly add in their information. This is how you would make them a stakeholder. This would say board member if it's the property management side, and you can just check them off as a board member or stakeholder from here and add their communication preferences in as you're probably already used to doing. The module for creating it is under request for proposal. If you're using us for Polera, it would show up on your tickets drop-down menu. And the idea with this is that we gave the same, again, structure that we use for our existing ticketing system, and just structured it around the RFP system. So you have a dashboard where you can filter to see any any of these criteria. When you first come in, it's just going to show you all the open tickets or open RFPs for the current community or company that you're looking at, but that cross-portfolio functionality is built into this as well and allows you to look across your portfolio or just at a single community or company that you're managing through it. From here, I can also filter just to see, certain projects that an administrator or manager is working on, projects that have been assigned to a particular vendor or stakeholder or board member as well. And then also, if you're familiar with our ticketing, we also have the reporting built into that as well. So, easy to pull reports based on whatever criteria that you filtered over here. Now, one thing we did recently introduce to our ticketing is some analytics. So we introduced a ticket charts area, and the idea being that we've taken some of the information that is in the system and created some analytics that you can quickly see on the fly to track trends and things like that. Now, the creation of the ticket starts up here on Add Request for Proposal. You would start by putting in your subject description. There is a due date that's filterable and sortable on that list. Categories and subcategories you create yourself. Priority if applicable. As you're creating the RFP, you can choose to separately notify your board members or stakeholders, as well as other admins of the creation of that ticket. And then the assignment feature as well built into it. So the idea would be that you could assign this to the admin that's going to be, working on it, to the vendor themselves. Now, if you're ready to send it to the vendor, this is where the categories that I was showing you earlier in that section come into play. So let's just say that, it's a roofing project that you're opening the ticket for. So now I can quickly just type in roofing and it'll show me all the roofing vendors that I have designated in my system. We also introduced a way to assign to multiple contacts at the vendor. So a lot of times you're not working always with the same person. You might have a primary contact or additional contacts that you need to assign these RFPs to. So you have that option now to be able to, send it to a particular person if needed. The other thing that we did is we made it so that you can tie an attachment to the actual ticket. But then when you go to send it to the vendor, you can send it as a separate attachment in the email that gets sent to the vendor. Now, the way that the tracking of that works, and actually before I get ahead of myself here, when you add a file, let me just show an example real quick here. When you add the file in, it's going to attach it to the ticket, but then you have to separately select down here to check it off as a separate attachment to be sent to the vendor. Now, let's just say that we're ready to send this ticket. So I'm just going to pop in some information here so that it doesn't, so it lets me here. So notice it's blue. That means I'm good to submit the ticket. Many times you're dealing with something where you need to be transparent and send multiple bids out to different vendors, right? So it's not going to be just one of these that you're sending. What we did is we created a save and duplicate option. And what that does is that'll duplicate all the details of the ticket except for the assignment portion of it. So you don't have to go recreate the same ticket and then assign it to the next vendor. So it just creates a duplicate of that and makes it super easy. I also from here can just save and create a brand new ticket if I'm ready to move on to the next RFP project that I'm creating a ticket for, or just go straight to adding a new one. Now, what's going to happen is once that gets sent to the vendor, they're going to get the email with any separate attachments, and then any replies that they send back will go to whatever email that you have tied to your profile in your system. So it'd be no different than a regular email back and forth conversation. However, we now track that conversation. So we created a message inbox area where you can go and you can reference all conversations, including their attachments, from here. You can filter to see responses from particular people or particular vendors. And then this is what it would look like. So you got your back and forth conversation, separate attachments. And as an extra measure of accountability, we also linked the ticket that it's associated with to the conversation in here. And if I do click here, it's going to bring me back to that ticket where we also have duplicated that conversation into its own area right here. Which you can see has the separate attachment also. Now, we are offering this system for free till the end of the year. So if anybody has already signed up for it, you know, we can get you set up for free and have you using the system. If you haven't, then super easy. You can go to our website, rfpplus.com, and there is a sign up link there. And we can get you started on that. We are offering free training sessions for anyone who signs up, as well as we did add some tutorial videos as well to the dashboard area. So easy, you know, quick videos to show you how to kind of get started on the system as well. All right, and that just about does it. Obviously, if you know, anybody wants to dive deeper and set up that training session or sign up for the system, you know, they can definitely reach out to us at support@rfpplus.com. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and open up for some questions if anybody has any, and we'll hang on for a few minutes for that. There is a Q&A area as well. I apologize. I should have mentioned there's a Q&A area where you can put in those questions. So if I do see that someone asked if who to contact about the software. So the RFP Plus system is being marketed to the broader market right now. We do offer that to any industry, but for those that are, you know, existing clients or clients of Polera, you can contact your Polera representative support as well, and they can help you with getting that set up. All right. Another question was, can you send multiple RFPs at once? So the way that would work, again, not at the same time necessarily, but you do have the ability when you're creating the ticket to, again, duplicate the parameters of that ticket and then create the next one and just send it right off to the next vendor, that kind of thing. Okay. Is this manager side software only, or does it also include owners or board members? So that's a good question. The owners, so if you're using us for Polera already and you have owners in the database, they are not involved in this part of the ticketing. This is meant for managers and board members for visibility. So the idea would be that you could notify the board, keep them up to date on the progress of a project. Also, when you're working the ticket through, right? So let's just say I wanted to provide an update on this roofing project to the board. It doesn't have to be done just when you're creating the ticket. I can go in, I can add a comment, and then I can separately notify board of said comment if it's something important. All right. And one last question here. Can you pull reports? So just to clarify again, the reports are right up here. So we do at the moment have, basic Excel reports that you can pull on your own based on whatever criteria that you select over here. And then there's also a master report as well if you're trying to pull in, say, multiple ticket types that you're tracking through our system. And then, of course, the separate area over here for the ticket charts for some of those graphs and so forth. Awesome. Perfect. Well, that's going to do it. If there are any lingering questions after the webinar, feel free to reach out to us. Again, support@rfpplus.com, or you can just visit our website and our phone number is right there. We'll be happy to field any questions that you have beyond. Thanks for your time.